While everyone is completely focused on Venezuela and what's happening with Nicolas Maduro, and rightly so, that's a huge story, I want to also make sure that we're not losing focus on the other huge stories that are currently impacting our own country. I'm talking about skyrocketing healthcare costs, the Epstein files, and a government shutdown coming in just a few weeks. Tomorrow, Congress will be back in Washington, D.C. for the first time in several weeks. They have a lot to deal with, and there's not a lot of time to do it. So here's what you need to know. Let's start with the government shutdown because that really connects all of this. The fact is the U.S. government is scheduled to shut down again on January 30th. You're probably thinking, damn, didn't we just get out of a government shutdown? Yes, in fact, we did. We got out of the longest government shutdown in history in November. But what you may not fully understand is the deal that ended the shutdown didn't stop government shutdowns forever. It just kicked the can down the road and set up a new government shutdown deadline. The deal made by 8 Senate Democrats and almost all Senate Republicans included what's called a continuing resolution that just temporarily keeps the U.S. government open at status quo funding levels, but only until January 30th. That means unless the House and the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, pass some kind of bipartisan government funding bill, we are going to see another government shutdown at the end of this month. And I know for all of us, that feels like a whole month of working time to figure this out. No problem, right? Wrong. Congress does not work on normal business hours. According to the 2026 House schedule, the House is only expected to be in session 12 working days in January, which you can see highlighted on the calendar. Of course, those dates can change, but as of today, the reality is there's only 12 days, which is not much time. Now that you understand the time crunch we're up against, let's talk about the issues that are going to play into the deal to keep the government open. Let's start with healthcare. On January 1st, millions of Americans saw their health insurance costs skyrocket. As I've been reporting, was going to happen since last summer. That happened for lots of reasons, but one of the key reasons that Congress controls is the enhanced premium tax credit, which expired at the end of 2025. Without that credit, we are expecting millions of people will be forced to just cancel their health insurance altogether because they simply can't afford it. We don't have official numbers of cancellations yet because open enrollment is still ongoing through the middle of January, but key watchdogs in the healthcare system estimate between 3 and 7 million Americans will be canceling their health insurance this year simply because they can't afford it. And that impacts all of us because those uninsured people will put a significant additional strain on the already stretched thin healthcare system and could cause insurance costs to go up again for those who do have health insurance. Now, because of this, it's very possible that Democrats are going to try and leverage their votes to keep the government open in exchange for some kind of concession from Republicans to bring back the enhanced premium tax credit to help Americans afford their health care. Now, the Republicans hate that idea, and instead House Republicans passed their own healthcare plan right before they left on the holiday recess. I told you all about that plan in this video, but the fact is that Republican healthcare plan probably will not be able to get the necessary 60 votes in the Senate. Also keep in mind, there is a discharge petition that must go to the House floor in the next few days, and if passed, that discharge petition would reinstate and extend the enhanced premium tax credit for health insurance for 3 more years. Now, that may actually pass the House, but again, it's very unclear what it would look like in the Senate. And speaking of leveraging votes to keep the government open, it's also possible that Democrats could demand some kind of check that would require the Trump administration to get some kind of congressional approval before they take any more large-scale military actions like what happened over the weekend with Maduro, and before the U.S. military continues to strike any more of those alleged drug boats in international waters. Of course, over the weekend, President Trump implied that he's not stopping with Venezuela. He threatened the leaders of Colombia and Cuba with the same type of military force that we saw with Maduro, and even floated the idea, again, of taking Greenland, which is a territory of Denmark, which is a NATO ally. Lastly, I want to talk about the Epstein files, which, believe it or not, is somehow getting buried in all of this. Now, I want to remind you that the law signed by President Trump says the full Epstein files must be released on December 19th. Not only did that not happen, but December 19th was more than 2 weeks ago. There are also real concerns about selective redactions being made to those Epstein documents by Trump's Department of Justice that are not allowed in the law. And the fact that over the holidays, DOJ said, we found millions more Epstein documents. And now they're saying they're not going to release any more until like January 20th or 21st, which is definitely not what the law says. So with the looming government shutdown, skyrocketing healthcare costs, this military action that the Trump administration just took and is threatening to take again, plus the Epstein files, Congress has its hands full and not a lot of time to figure it out.
All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem, which means in the name. Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites. All right. Now, as you saw from that lengthy clip, the government is running a play on its people. Okay, the government, spearheaded by Esau Edom, is running a play on its people. All right. And what does running a play on someone means? I Googled that, and the AI overview says running a play on someone means to cleverly deceive, manipulate, or trick them, often by exploiting their emotions. See? And that's exactly what this government or administration is doing. All right? Because here we are, just weeks away from the government shutting down again, due to Congress not being able to come to some type of agreement on both sides, the Republican and the Democrat, mainly over the idea or fact of health care being, available for all Americans, okay? As the lady said, I think her name is Lisa, she just stated that millions of Americans will not have health care by the middle of January. Why? Because the rates or the prices have skyrocketed. All right? Leaving you that do have health care to more than likely pay for those that drop their health care, because these insurance companies are going to raise their policies. Because why? Now you have more people uninsured. Okay? And this is in the heart or midst of the winter months. Okay? January and February. So what could that potentially spell? A outbreak of some type of, pestilence. You get my drift? Viruses. All right? Giving way to lockdowns again. You see? This devil is running a play on you. All right? He's using this Maduro, Venezuela. Now he's saying Cuba, Colombia, and Greenland to invoke your agreement with him to sidetrack you from the things that's at hand, okay? That being what? Primarily the government getting ready to shut down at the end of this month. And what else? That healthcare is now being, unattainable for many Americans. And then on the back end of that, he's not being held accountable for how he's supposed to be bringing these Epstein files to the forefront for the people to have transparency. See? Because that's what he ran his administration on, that he would release all the Epstein files to the public. All right. What is he doing now? He's using this, tactics of we're the greatest country. We went into Venezuela. We extracted their so-called president. Now Cuba's not safe. We coming to get them. Now we're going to get Colombia for all their, regime and what have you. And now we're thinking about Greenland. All of this is distracting those that don't understand what's at play here from knowing, okay? They don't know that the government shutdown is going to be at the end of this month, and that the Congress or Senate isn't working every day in the month, but only 12 days to get this deal done. See? They so caught up that Venezuela has been taken over, or that America is now going in to steal their oil, that they don't see what America or this administration is doing right in front of their eyes. Because why? They getting a play ran on them. Let's finish out what that meaning or saying goes into. It says, often by exploiting their emotions, weaknesses, or inexperience to get what you want. Essentially, using a calculated strategy, a play. So this administration is using a calculated strategy against you people, man. All right, because why? You don't know what the hell is getting ready to go down. All right. And we just in the 6th, 7th day of this so-called new year. All right. And they getting ready to put that play, that calculated strategy into place, man. Whether you know it or not. Okay. It says for personal gain, right? Because they do the biddings of these elites. Okay. And these elites are getting ready to shut this whole damn thing down, man. All right. Something major is getting ready to take place very soon. Lord willing, Abaratazah. All right. That's why we got to keep sending up prayers for this place to be destroyed, man. All right. We got to keep sending up them prayers, man. All right. Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Abba, Baal. Destroy Babylon, which we know America is synonymous with ancient Babylon, but it's a spiritual Babylon because why? It's just a land full of confusion, man. When you go into Babylon, that word Babel means to confuse. That's all America is. It's just a cesspool of confusion. So we praying to the Lord that he destroys this place and quickly and swiftly. So it says essentially using a calculated strategy, in parentheses, a play for personal gain, especially in romantic or deceptive contexts. Right. And America's in that romantic / deceptive context because why? They're trying to reassure their people that there's still, hope in this country that's constantly degrading because of its morals and because the Lord is getting ready to take this country out of this place out of power. But America has to give you that illusion that they still got that power. We can still go in and take a president that we have nothing to do with their country and bring him to America and bring him up on charges and try him in the court of America. We can go to Colombia and get them next. We can go to Cuba, take them out, and we can even do Greenland. See? All this is occupying their time and not allowing them to address things that are at the forefront. This shutdown, man. America's healthcare. Okay? See? And the Epstein files. All right? These things they should be working on, but because they're giving you a way to not really hold them accountable because they're doing something that they can be deemed beneficial for the Americans in the long run, they're telling you don't worry about the shortcoming, okay? We worrying about your long coming, okay? And America ain't going to be around that much longer for you to enjoy any of this that they're doing anyways, okay? Or at least without taking that microchip. And even with that, that's only going to be a short while. Okay. So this devil is running a play on you people. All right. Let's go into it and get a few precepts. All right. This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 6. It says, this is Yahweh Shah speaking, red letters. He says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See? This is all part of the play that this devil is running on his people, okay? All we hearing right now are rumors, okay? Venezuela could retaliate. China or Russia may jump in and, help. America could be going into Cuba and Colombia and potentially Greenland, all right? These are all rumors because why? They're all part of the play, the strategic plan, okay? And buying them time in order for them to set their last finishing pieces together before they do what they do, okay? Because now They don't have to be bombarded with questions about Epstein or the government being shut down or, Americans getting affordable health care. Because why? They got these rumors of wars out on their out on their mainstream media sites, NBC, CNN, all of this and all of that. See? So now they're occupying their media with these rumors of wars instead of what's at hand. Americans losing their health care. Americans facing another shutdown, okay? Americans getting transparency on the promise that you read being that you will release all of the Epstein files, okay? Now, we're going to give them some rumors, man. We're going to show them something to give them some, give them some type of proof that we're actually doing something. Let's go capture the president of Venezuela, who he could be in on it too. For as far as we know, it can all be a part of the show, all right? But see, this is why it says 2 Corinthians chapter 2 in verse 11. It reads, "For we are not ignorant." This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and 11. It says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us," right? Because, hey, we know, all right? Because why? We're measuring the time diligently. See, the devil, Satan, isn't going to run a play on the elect, all right? Because the elect is watching his ass, man. Now, the 2/3 of our people and the other heathens, yeah, he running the play on them smoothly, all right? He's running his strategic plan on them smoothly because they are so gullible and believe in everything that they hear that they lose sight and track of what's at hand, okay? So it says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices," right? And one of his devices is that he's running a play, all right? Because as it says back in Genesis, he's more subtle than any beast of the field, all right? So Esau is more subtle than any other nation on the earth, man, at running these plays, man. Because why? The Lord set him up to do that. All right. The Lord set him up to be more subtle than any beast of the field. Okay. So he got tricks. He has plays. All right. He has snares. All right. And unless the Lord is dealing with you, you'll fall right into one of them. Okay. And we're seeing the snare or the play being put into place right before our very own eyes. Because by the time everybody realizes how close we are to what's getting ready to go down, it's going to be too late. Okay. This devil will have been able to do what he was looking to do. And by that time, he's going underground. All right. Back to one of these bunkers or wherever he's going to go and hide once all hell breaks loose. All right. So the collapse of America is inevitable, all right? It's coming, okay? Abaratha, our Father will, and quick, okay? So we ain't ignorant of Satan's devices, and we know rumors of wars is just that. It's a rumor, all right? Because why? We understand through prophecy that the mark of the beast must be made mandatory. What is the mark? The RFID microchip. That has to come into place where in order for you to buy and sell, you have to receive this mark. This has to take place before the missiles come to America to destroy it. So right now, all we're hearing is rumors, all right, of retaliation, of America could go and do this. If Iran unalive one protest, then we're going to go in and blow it up to smithereens. All of these is just rumors, man. To keep your mind occupied, all right? Because why? They're pushing that sense of fear and also that sense of security because they can do whatever it is that they say they're going to do. But at the same time, we can be on the verge of World War III. Never mind the things that's at store at hand, because if we go into full out war, you won't have health care. If we go into full out war, there won't be no need to release the Epstein files. If we go into full out war, there will be no worry or, cause to be concerned about the government shutting down at the end of this month. See, we're taking things, what's the saying? We're taking things into our own hands to prevent all of this. All right. We got to go out and make the world better for other countries. Never mind our own country. See? So this is all we're hearing is rumors. Because why? They're feeding you this stuff. They're feeding you these rumors to keep you occupied from what's at hand. All right? So Matthew 24:6, let's go back up there and finish that. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. This is what we at right now. See that you be not troubled. See, Yahushua gave us the counter to this devil's play. He says, see that you be not troubled. Why? For all these things must come to pass. Why? But the end is not yet. See? We ain't at the end until that chip becomes mandatory. All right? Because everything else is falling into place. Nations are going to go up against nations. People are in uproars. The gospel has been preached throughout the four corners of the earth. So everything is being set and put into motion. The only thing we're waiting for now is the mark of the beast. Okay? That microchip to be made mandatory. All right? Even the famine of the word is on the table. Okay? Limited your First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, over social media. All right? With people like Shlomo Kramer advocating for them to do that here in America. See? But while they doing all of this, that time is still ticking for them to get some type of resolution before the end of this month. Okay? And they can give you the excuse that we've been so occupied in other things that we haven't been able to address these things publicly like you would like us to, because now we're in the midst of, taking over other people's lands and territories and kicking them out and doing this and doing that. All right? So this is the play that this devil is running, man. Just giving you excuses and rumors. All right? Meanwhile, we got real problems on the forefront of our own country. Americans' health care running out in the middle of this month, okay? Meaning what? A lot of people finna start getting, you know what I'm trying to say, very ill, all right? Because they can't afford it. And that's going to cause for more people to, whatever it is that they put out, to spread even faster, all right? And now that the government, Abaratazar, Father Will, is no longer operational, they can't pass any bills because why? Congress can't come to agreement. The Democrats and the Republicans can't see eye to eye. Or so they will allow you to believe they can't see the eye to eye. All right, but it's all a, trick and pony show, okay? They got to give you an illusion, but they all work for the same thing, all right? They all work for the same thing, and that's for the detriment of your well-being, all right? They could care less because they're two feathers on the same bird, all right? Two horns on the same lamb. Let's get that. Revelation 13 and 11. This is the beast from the earth. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, which is America, and he had two horns like a lamb. See? That's the Democrat and the Republican, all right? Like a lamb, okay? Because why? They talk good in theory, but their actions speak ill otherwise. It says, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right? When you go into that word dragon, it goes to dracon, which is where you get draconian measures, all right? Because they set laws and legislations into place that's, burdensome for his people, okay? And that's all you're going to see, okay? You're going to see that they're just prescribing to you more oppression and more, downsize, okay? Because it's not going to get any better, okay? They go in and set up oil refineries. You won't feel the impact of that for years to come. You're not going to see $1.25 at the gas pump. You're not going to see inflation going down because the petrodollar is now getting back up to where it was supposed to be at any time soon. By the time you see that, it'll be the new world order. Okay? So it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right. Because you're going to see what he's putting on books, on these books, these laws, these executive orders, so on and so forth. When that time comes, it's going to be to oppress its people unless they take that chip. All right, so this is where we at. The devil is running the play on the people, and hey, it's getting ready to get real bad, okay? Real soon, Lord willing, all right? So let's see if we finish that up in Matthew 24, and then we'll get ready to shut it down. Matthew 24:6. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, so this devil is running the play because the collapse of America is inevitable, and we're right here at the beginning. All right, we're right here to see it all. Okay, it's just a few more weeks left before this looming, government, Lord willing, gets closed once again, okay? And who knows how long, okay? Who knows how long, all right? But we got to be prepared, man, all right? We have to be prepared by what? Staying in the faith, staying in the truth, being sober. Let's go there and read it. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See? So you can't get a play, or you can't get one up on someone that's watching you, that knows your ulterior motives, that know what you're trying to accomplish. You can't get nothing up on them. But those that aren't watching, those that aren't sober, those that aren't vigilant, yeah, you can get one up on them, man. All right? Because they're not keen onto what you're doing. All right? So it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Right? He's going to run a play on people that don't know. All right? For people that's watching and applauding him for taking out Maduro out of Venezuela and believing what they see on social media to extent and his mainstream media, they're going to be the ones that easily get deceived, all right, and be deceived, okay? Because why? They're not watching, they're not sober, and they don't have the truth, all right? That's the main thing, all right? But those that do, they're going to continue to watch and continue to be sober and continue to be vigilant, because they know that this devil, their adversary, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right? So that's going to conclude the lesson tonight as far as this devil is running a play. And pray that someone was edified through it. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.